The world stands at a precipice. The conflict in Ukraine is not just a regional crisis, it is a symptom of a deeper geopolitical malaise. The post-Cold War order built on the promise of peace and cooperation is crumbling. We are witnessing a return to great power competition fueled by mistrust, misunderstanding, and a dangerous lack of dialogue. The stakes could not be higher. The future of Europe and indeed the world hangs in the balance. We must act now to prevent a wider conflagration. The current crisis demands clear thinking. We must resist the temptation to resort to simplistic narratives and instead engage in a nuanced and honest assessment of the factors that have brought us to this point. Only then can we hope to find a path to a just and lasting peace. This essay will attempt to do just that, drawing on my decades of experience working on issues of peace and security in the region. For over 3 decades I have been deeply involved in the political and economic transformations of Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union. As an advisor to governments and international organizations, I witnessed firsthand the hopes and aspirations that accompanied the fall of the Berlin Wall. I also saw the challenges and pitfalls of transitioning to a new world order. My engagement with Russia began in the late 1980s, during the Gorbachev era. Over the years, I have had the opportunity to interact with Russian leaders, policymakers, and ordinary citizens. These experiences have given me a deep appreciation for the complexities of Russian history, culture, and politics. They have also made me acutely aware of the West's often misguided policies toward Russia in the aftermath of the Cold War. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 left the United States as the sole superpower. This unipolar moment, as it came to be known, presented both opportunities and dangers. On the one hand, it created a space for the spread of democracy and free markets. On the other hand, it tempted the United States to pursue its own interests without regard for the concerns of other nations. The expansion of NATO eastward is a case in point. Despite assurances given to Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev that NATO would not expand 1 inch eastward, the alliance has grown to encompass much of Eastern Europe. This expansion, driven by a combination of hubris and strategic short-sightedness, has been a major source of tension between Russia and the West. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, Russia repeatedly voiced its concerns about NATO expansion. These concerns were dismissed by Western leaders, who viewed Russia as a defeated power with no right to dictate the security arrangements of Europe. This failure to take Russia's security concerns seriously has had disastrous consequences. The 2008 NATO summit in Bucharest, where Ukraine and Georgia were promised eventual membership in the alliance, was a turning point. This decision, made over the strenuous objections of Russia, sent a clear signal that the West was not interested in accommodating Russia's security interests. It also emboldened those in Ukraine who sought to break from Russia's orbit and align the country more closely with the West. Section 5. The Encirclement Strategy. The expansion of NATO eastward can be seen as part of a broader strategy to contain and weaken Russia. By bringing more countries in Eastern Europe under its security umbrella, NATO has effectively encircled Russia, limiting its ability to project power beyond its borders. This strategy has been pursued through a combination of military, economic, and political means. The United States has played a leading role in this effort, providing military and financial support to countries in Eastern Europe. It has also used its economic and political leverage to pressure countries in the region to align themselves with the West. This strategy has been successful in achieving its immediate goal of limiting Russia's influence. However, it has also come at a high cost, poisoning relations between Russia and the West and creating a climate of mistrust that has made it difficult to address common challenges. Section 6. Ukraine, a pawn in the game. Ukraine has become a focal point of the rivalry between Russia and the West. Its strategic location, bordering both Russia and several NATO members, makes it a country of vital importance to both sides. For Russia, Ukraine is a buffer state, essential for its own security. For the West, Ukraine is a potential prize, a large and populous country that could be brought into the Western fold. The West's efforts to promote democracy and human rights in Ukraine have been welcomed by many Ukrainians. However, these efforts have often been pursued in a way that has alienated Russia and exacerbated tensions in the country. The 2014 Maidan Revolution, which ousted pro-Russian President Viktor Yanukovych, was a case in point. While the revolution was fueled by genuine popular grievances, It was also supported by the United States and other Western countries. Russia viewed the revolution as a Western-backed coup and responded by annexing Crimea and supporting separatists in eastern Ukraine. Section 7. Broken Promises and the Road to War. The 2014 Maidan Revolution led to the signing of the Minsk Agreements, which were intended to end the conflict in eastern Ukraine. However, the agreements were never fully implemented, and fighting continued. The West accused Russia of violating the agreements, while Russia accused the West of failing to pressure Ukraine to implement its commitments. The failure to implement the Minsk Agreements created a dangerous stalemate. Russia continued to support the separatists in eastern Ukraine, while the West provided military and financial support to the Ukrainian government. Tensions between Russia and the West continued to rise, and the risk of a wider conflict grew. Section 8. The Invasion and the West's Response. On February 24, 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The invasion was met with widespread international condemnation, and the West responded with a series of sanctions against Russia. The United States and its allies also began providing military aid to Ukraine. The invasion of Ukraine is a tragedy for both countries. It is also a major setback for the international order. The war has already claimed thousands of lives and displaced millions of people. It has also led to a sharp increase in global food and energy prices. Section 9. The Path Forward. The war in Ukraine is a stark reminder of the dangers of great power competition. It is also a reminder of the importance of diplomacy and dialogue. The only way to end the war and prevent future conflicts is through a negotiated settlement that addresses the security concerns of all parties. The United States and its allies should work with Russia to find a diplomatic solution to the conflict. This will require both sides to make difficult compromises. However, the alternative, a protracted war that could escalate into a wider conflict, is simply unacceptable. The stakes are too high to allow this conflict to continue. We must act now to end the bloodshed and build a more peaceful and just world.